This is an impossible Lego piece. Unlike normal bricks, it can't snap, click, or connect to any other part ever made. In this video, I'm going to solve the challenge of not only working with impossible parts, but make a whole Lego city using them as unique features in fully custom buildings. Now before any of that, I need some land. This is 1 stud. This is 2, 4 studs, 6,144 studs. And I'm just gonna keep building until I fill up this entire area with stores, restaurants, streets, and anything else I can think of. I'm also gonna make this blue. Blue plates are cheaper. Throughout the video, the builds will get increasingly more difficult, starting with easy mode. This is the Monkey Kid City of Lanterns, and it's full of tons of storefronts, like a Tiny Panda convenience store, karaoke bar, boba tea shop, and even a micro Lego store with tons of vintage sets for sale. Despite being this small, all of the buildings look really clean. The backs being open, kinda really bad, but with a quick wall, matching the bricks of each building, they're much more complete. Going forward, I'll be adding some quick walls for the rest of the sets to seal them off from any oversized hands. Placing them all down really starts to liven up the streets. I have another 2 awesome sets to run through. This is the Megaplot City and Monkey Kids Team Hideout sets. Just like the first City of Lanterns, these 2 are full of more awesome tiny buildings. Between these 2 sets, and new walls of course, I'll be adding 10 more structures onto the city streets. If I had any. Rounding out the Monkey Kid Speed Blitz is yet another noodle shop. This time, it came as the small side build with this giant monkey mech. The noodle restaurant chain finally has its last location. The next set is the Main Street 3-in-1, offering a music studio, record shop, cafe, and added into the city. A giant ice cream store is a must-have in any neighborhood. Emphasis on giant. My lord, it's like 8 times the size of this street corner, but like half the size of this train station. For the next few buildings, they'll still come from a set, but increasingly more modifications and rebuilds will be needed. I guess this selection could be called Easy Plus Mode. I have a thrift store. I was actually excited when the set was announced. I like going to the thrift store, and I used to do it pretty regularly with my siblings and great-grandmother. Getting rid of this ugly sidewalk on the front and adding in a wall, it's good to go. That's glossing over the complete interior rebuild on both the first and second story, a brand new floor because the old one was way too deep, the new iron railing and arch for the new plant work, and whatever other little details that had to be adjusted, but let's just call it a new wall. For the next set, I like this skate park. The park itself will take up too much space, but the skate store will be a great addition. Being made from a shipping container, I really like the look of the build. Except for this tree. Oh, and this elevator looks bad. Having a second story at all is a bit weird, a little too LA for me. Of course, now it needs a new roof and new roof supports, changes to the layout to fit, and a few more panels for the back wall. After just a small, huge handful of changes, I really like the look of the shipping container. And if you really like this video, then maybe subscribe. Okay, I like this little jewelry store from an older Batman set. Unfortunately, when I got mine, the sticker sheet didn't come in the box. So some extra decorations for the signs will help make it a bit more noticeable. It's also a little thin, being only 4 studs deep, so stretching out the walls and giving a new back now makes it fit right in. It'll go right next to the Jade store from earlier, starting some sort of jewelry district. Next I have this 4+ Spider-Man set, and it is real neat. However, I'm only here for this tiny little grocery store and its box of cereal. The plate that houses this takes up way too much space. Inside is a decent selection of things you'd find in a local convenience store, like bread, fruit, cereal, and milk in this commercial refrigerator. The shape of the roof was a bit tricky to keep, and the sign even more so. With that corner building in, that wraps up the easy section. Now it's time for the hard section, where I have to use Duplo bricks to make fully custom buildings. First, the parts are twice the size, and that goes for every brick, rod. If it has Duplo on it, it's bigger. All right, why is that a problem, he assumes those at home are asking. With Duplo being so much larger, most connections simply aren't possible. If you ever try to integrate Duplo into one of your own creations, you have to think outside the Lego system to make it work. For example, my first choice is this giant pizza dish. In order to make this particular piece of pie work, I stacked a few of these ring-shaped plates inside the opening on the back, essentially giving it the same properties as a normal brick. I think this makes for a pretty decent restaurant sign. Now I just need to make the rest of the restaurant. Inside is everything needed to make some hot pizza, with a counter and oven for baking, next to a fire extinguisher for proper OSHA compliance. Next is the sink, and on the opposite corner is a small storage container under the pizza warmers. Finally, an exhaust hood on the wall. On the countertop are some single pizza slices next to extra toppings, cash register, and even a menu I got from this sticker pack a long time ago. The sign is a bit big for just a single story building, throwing the proportions off, so a second story is definitely probably maybe required. And in that space is a small karate dojo with weapons and plenty of targets for hitting practice. Just around the door is a bunch of posters, including one needed for the pizza shop. Once roof access is given with this ladder and a few extra details are thrown on, the rest can all slide right into place. With that, the first building in my city can be inserted. Next building! Moreover, this time I want to make something that isn't just a sign. This is a Duplo door. Usually it comes in 2 parts with a frame, but using this frame would 1, make it trivial, and 2, it kind of feels like cheating. The challenge of building with Duplo is when mixing it with Lego. Duplo on Duplo is literally for babies, so no frame, and this will be the door I'm going with. The design is from 1984, giving it a more vintage and distinct look. Also, being made for toddlers, it's pretty common to find some bite marks. What? First thing I need to figure out is just how on earth am I going to connect this? These bars are only meant to connect to one thing, and that's the door frame. If you're a big Star Wars fan, you'll probably immediately recognize this part. It's a stud shooter from a minifigure. A minifigure holds it, you push down on this lever, and a stud launches. Well, turns out that these two tiny nubs on each side are the exact same size as these 40-year-old bars, which means these stud shooters finally have a use outside of looking bad. Now that the door is figured out, the rest of it should be pretty straightforward. I want to recreate this police box I saw while in Japan. It's not anything too crazy, but I want to get as many details as possible, like this small planter on the side, right under whatever these grills are supposed to be. The other side has this super thin air conditioning unit, that way the building can slide up to any other building. Inside, and I had to take some creative liberties here, there's only one small cell to hold someone temporarily until they can be transferred to a larger prison. Adding some standard equipment, clocks, chalkboard, and a computer, the station is almost set to go. With some additional surveillance, Wi-Fi, and a solar panel, this station is self-sufficient, and I am calling it good. And for the last Duplo piece, as for the part in question, may I introduce you to this giant fish. There's no way to connect it to any normal bricks, and the tail is far too big to attach to any clip. This time I'd like to recreate this famous fish market sign in Japan. LEGO makes corrugated panels to look like metal, and I used some earlier with a skate shop, but not in this blue color. In order to get that same look, I have to stagger these bricks with different plates and tiles. Behind it will be a roof to cover up all that weird, ugly LEGO math like it never even happened. The fish will connect using this hot dog element. Some white studs and a big red sign. I think it looks pretty similar, especially at this small scale. To make the red sign on the top, I have two stickers that might work. This random Ninjago banner, or this sticker from a promotional Ninjago sticker sheet. This looks more accurate, but this one says splash. The walls on the side have a similar technique as the sign to have a corrugated metal sheet look because the color also doesn't exist. The back is just a double wide door to easily move in fresh fish, and the front is a counter showing today's catch. Under the awning is a street level sign and security door that's rolled up. Thinking back, if I really wanted a fish market, I could have probably just used this one as the basis. Hindsight. But now, it's time for the impossible parts. I've been collecting for years, so I have a small assortment of strange LEGO, but this is up there with the strangest. It's a little foam square that kinda looks like a sponge. LEGO parts aren't supposed to do that. This piece, if you can even call it that, came out in 3 sets all the way back in 1997. Ignoring how these official LEGO sets look like Barbies, these were only used as cushions or mattresses while still not actually connecting to anything. But the weirdness doesn't stop there. Remember how I called this a square? Well, I lied. While LEGO's website Bricklink says it's a 7 stud by 7 stud square, in reality it's more like a 6.5 stud by 6 1/8 studs rectangle. It took some tinkering, but using some of these brick tall panel pieces, a small nook can cradle the sponge into place. Avoiding the hole can't actually connect to anything problem. To have this actually fit, I'll have to do some upside down building for the wall to get that extra quarter of a stud of space. The one on the back will sit on top and be sandwiched into place between a tile, the walls, and this decorative arch. Hanging down from the ceiling will be a handful of decorative bags for the current season of whatever the overpriced garbage being marketed to impressionable people that can't afford it is. Through the door that allows access for the staff to change the display is the sales floor, with more high-end bags on display. The walls have the same color scheme as the cushion pieces, with a sand blue bottom for flowers and red clips for berries. I'm making the roof look like glass so it can let some more light in, and also make it feel slightly less cramped. Upstairs is another bag display with a mannequin and decorative window. I use some upside-down Minecraft wolf heads as decorative concrete elements on the roof. This enormous suitcase, also from the Skyline, that theme was strange, could make for another great 3D street, say it with me now, sign. Using the slide, I can clip the bag into place right above the front door. And there we have it, an unnecessary, overcomplicated store to sell unnecessary handbags, what every community needs. On an unrelated note, I will not be making a hospital for the city. For the last impossible LEGO part, I can finally make some streets, and to do that, I have this LEGO Extra and VIP road tape. I know using a roll of stickers doesn't feel like an impossible thing to use, but hear me out. If I were to stick these onto a table like the pictures from LEGO encourage you to do, then I could only use it maybe 1 or 2 times. Okay, then why don't you just put it on some LEGO, he says, hypothetically already having an answer to this made-up question in mind. At 10.5-ish studs wide, these rolls are a very odd shape in regards to the LEGO palette. And with such a wide space needed, there are only 3 parts that can fully fit the entirety of these stickers. And get this, they're all already roads. In conclusion, that's why this seemingly very possible LEGO piece is in fact, or in my uneducated but still correct opinion, an impossible LEGO piece. If I really wanted to keep this purely LEGO, I would probably put this on a cut up LEGO box or something like that. But seeing how I would like to reuse it more than once without it flopping over, I'm making it a bit more robust by using some leftover sheets of acrylic that I have. After some hopefully close measurements, and cutting it to size very, very poorly, multiple times, and then sanding the whole thing to give the glue something to stick to, cutting once more, and the tape can be attached. With the two different designs, I'd like to use the cleaner one for the larger streets, and this one with grass on the sides will be used for smaller side and neighborhood roads. From afar, they look actually good for being overpriced, weaker duct tape. Once you go up close and see how bad my cuts are and some rather poor application to some segments, the effect is considerably less impressive. Finally, after the road plates being added, this whole thing kinda, actually, if I dare say it, looks like a city. I'd like to slowly replace all the Monkey Kid sets with mine over time, but for now, do you have any ideas on what I should add or change? Or do you know of any other Impossible parts that might make for a good fit in the LEGO City? As for now, I'm pretty happy with it, even though it's just sets on a table.